What's going on, my people? I'm just sitting out in my little old area, man. I come out to the garage to decompress, man. Everybody need a place where they gotta hear just straight quietness in their mind, man, so you can get a little bit of peace. So, um, usually when I'm reading the Bible, man, sometimes I'm convicted to go to a particular book to read, and over this last week or so, I've been led to go read Hebrews over again. Of course, I read it when I first, got my Bible. I read the Bible from front to end. But Hebrews, I had to go back through it because once you read it for the first time, like that was about almost 5 years ago. Now that you get your understanding and you get your armor of God built up, when you go read it again, it means something totally different. When you see that Putin then put out the Bible from the 1400s and there's black faces up in there, and when you see stuff like that and you say, okay, well, let me go read again and see what the Master Jesus was trying to tell these Hebrews, the message. So right now I'm at Hebrews chapter 12, and I thought this was like unbelievable chapter. It was so unbelievable. I said, let me read it. Because, I don't think people read their Bible. I think people go to church and they get led, but they ain't led to read their own Bible. So I'm going to read it for you. And I'm not the greatest reader. I'm going to make some typos. I'm going to make some, but read along with me. Hebrews chapter 12. And this is the Message Bible. And I read this Bible because there's more these and less ye's. So let me continue. The title of this chapter, this particular chapter in chapter 12 is Discipline in a Long Distance Race. Long distance race. We ain't talking about the 100 meter. We talking about the 1500. Let's go. Do you see what this means? All these pioneers who blazed the way, all these veterans cheering us on. It means we better get on with it. Strip down, start running, and never quit. Never, no extra spiritual fat, no parasitic sins. Keep your eyes on Jesus, who both began and finished this race we're in. Study how he did it, because he never lost sight of where he was headed. That exhilarating finish in and with God. He could put up with anything along the way, cross, shame, whatever. And now he's there in a place of honor, right alongside God. When you find yourselves flagging in faith, go over that story again, item by item. That long litany of hostility he plowed through, that will shoot adrenaline into your souls. In this all-out match against sin, others have suffered far worse than you, to say nothing of what Jesus went through, all that bloodshed. So don't feel sorry for yourselves. Or have you forgotten how good parents treat children, and that God regards you as his children? Ooh, it's gonna get good. It's gonna get juicy. My dear child, don't shrug off God's discipline, but don't be crushed by it either. It's the child he loves that he disciplines. The child he embraces, he also corrects. God is educating you. That's why you must never drop out. He's treating you as dear children. The children you're in isn't punishment. The trouble you're in isn't punishment. It's training, the normal experience of children. Only irresponsible parents leave children to fend for themselves. Would you prefer an irresponsible God? We respect our own parents for training and not spoiling us. So why not embrace God's training so we can truly live? While we were children, our parents did what seemed best to them. But God is doing what is best for us. training us to live God's holy best. At the time, discipline isn't much fun. It's always like it's going against the grain. Later, of course, it pays off big time. For it's the well-trained who find themselves in... let me go back. For it's the well-trained who find themselves mature in their relationship with God. So don't sit around on your hands. No more dragging your feet. Clear the path for long-distance runners so no one will trip and fall. So no one will step in a hole and sprain an ankle. Help out each other and run for it. Work at getting along with each other. Work at getting along with each other and with God. Otherwise, you'll never get so much as a glimpse of God. Make sure no one gets left out of God's generosity. Keep a sharp eye out for the weeds of bitter discontent. A thistle or two to seed. A thistle or two gone to seed can ruin a whole garden in no time. Watch out for the Esau syndrome. Trading away God's lifelong gift in order to satisfy short-term appetite. You well know how Esau later regretted that impulsive act and wanted God's blessing. But by then it was too late. Tears are no tears. So that's the first part of Hebrews chapter 12, man. Look at him. The information sitting right up in there was just too much for you not to take in. It's a lot of people who hate God's discipline. Boy, you be telling them spiritual concepts and they want to hear coochie popping concepts. The coochie popping concepts are so fun, but they all lead to death. All y'all be looking goofy in the end. So what I'm saying is, let me go back to this real quick. It always feels like it's going against the grain. At the time, discipline isn't much fun. When I thought of, reading the Bible and going the spiritual route, I said to myself, oh boy, this is not going to be popular. Reading what I'm reading is not going to be popular. Boy, it's hot. You see that sweat? You see that sweat? I come out here and read, man. Like I can't be shaken by the sun, man. It was going to be hot either way. So let me go ahead and continue reading. The other part of the Hebrews chapter 12 is the unshakable kingdom. Unlike your ancestors, you didn't come to Mount Sinai, all that volcanic blaze and earth-shaking rumble, to hear God speak. The ear-splitting words and soul-shaking message terrified them, and they begged him to stop. When they heard the words, if an animal touches the mountain, it's as good as dead, they were afraid to move. Even Moses was terrified. No, that's not your experience at all. You've come to Mount Zion, the city where the living God resides. The invisible Jerusalem is populated by throngs of festive angels and Christian citizens. It is the city where God is judge, with judgments that make us just. They've come to Jesus. You've come to Jesus, who presents us with a new covenant, a fresh charter from God. He is the mediator of this covenant. The murder of Jesus, unlike Abel's, a homicide that cried out for vengeance, became a proclamation of grace. So don't turn a deaf ear to these gracious words. If those who ignored earthly warnings didn't get away with it, what will happen to us if we turn our backs on heavenly warnings? His voice this time shook the earth to its foundation. This time, he's told us this quite plainly. He'll also rock the heavens. One last shaking from top to bottom, stem to stern. The phrase, one last shaking, means a thorough house cleaning, getting rid of all the historical and religious junk so that the unshakable essentials stand clear and uncluttered. Do you see what you've got? An unshakable kingdom. And do you see how thankful we must be? Not only thankful, but brimming with worship, deeply reverent before God. For God is not indifferent by an indifferent bystander. He's actively cleaning house, torching all the needs to burn, and he won't quit until it's cleaned. God himself is fire. Hey, I'm sweating. Let me get this sweat up on my forehead. Whew, that's a lot. But what I read here, people, is Jesus was talking to the Hebrews. He wasn't talking to the people just of Abraham. He was talking to the people of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Because you'll read, when Jesus was talking to them people, he was like, well, we Abraham, see, we ain't never been enslaved to no man. You're right. So we do have our brothers out here that are brothers of Abraham, or that are the father of Abraham. The father of they father is Abraham. Ishmael, they father is Abraham. But not Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He's talking to them Hebrews. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The people that was put into bondage. The 400-year people. He was having a great conversation with them about the discipline in the long distance race. Boy, let me tell you the best thing he said on that first part. Watch out for the Esau syndrome. It's a syndrome. It's a syndrome. You got to study Esau and Esau's ways. What was Esau doing? What is Esau doing now? Everything that exists back then exists today. Don't ever ignore Esau's warnings. Trading away God's lifelong gift in order to satisfy a short-term appetite. What I told you, all you people out there robbing and scamming, I already told you, your life it'll be cut short. If you got to go to jail and spend 30 years, that's your life. I do not care. Because you wanted Esau's short-term benefits. You ain't want to run the long-term race. So I don't even be talking to them people. If you want to live in Esau's way, if you think America's way is the way that you supposed to be living personally, you goofy as hell. Get out my face. I don't even want to talk to these people. They don't even understand how it go. It's children out there that's rejecting sound discipline. Like they know it all. You 16. You ain't even a mini adult yet. You don't even pay your own bills, but you refuse training. You refuse this discipline. Ain't no discipline. I got everything because I seen it on the internet. And when you see it on TikTok, it's real. These kids don't want no discipline. Discipline means you have to listen. You have to understand. You have to bring it into your spirit. And then you have to execute. Man, I'm out here in the sun preaching these ill words, man. Man, when you read this stuff, man, you can read past it. You can say, man, that dude crazy. But I'm trying to tell you, the Hebrews was the people of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The people that have been in bondage, the people that are extremely hard-headed, the people that are extremely hard-hearted. When you look at them people that built this country, don't they look hard-hearted now? When I look at my people, I say, boy, these are the hard-heartedest people I've never seen in my life. I went over to my house that I bought for my grandmother, that my uncle swindled me out of, and this man pointed a gun at me. I said, the hard-hearted. That man won't even try to converse with me. This man hard-hearted. But that's when you got that Esau up in you. When you got that Esau in your heart, that's how you act. So good day, people. I'm going to holler at y'all. I'm going to wipe the rest of the sweat off my face, and I'm going to get to work doing tea cakes.